Hello, and welcome back to the Thursday Night Kissaten podcast. I'm your host, Cordelia. Today, we'll continue to talk about the TV show A Couple Without Falling in Love, Part 2. I recapped or listened the Part 1 yesterday and did not realize how emotional I was when I first recorded. I'm not going to apologize for it because I think the frustrations that I had was so real. And it's also related to what happened to me before I record that episode. So yeah, let's keep going. And I will try to help to, hold my tone this time, make it more professional as a podcaster. But I'm still maybe going to sound a little bit emotional. So let's just respect that because that also is something organic and authentic with this voice. So, in the third episode of the TV show A Couple Without Falling in Love, Sakuko encounters her ex that she still worked together at the same company. Even though they broke up a long time ago, this ex-boyfriend still believes he and Sakuko are still in a romantic relationship with a very, very special attachment. He thinks and he wishes for this, right? But Sakuko, of course, have a very different perspective. No matter what, this person, his name is Kaz, kind of shares the same beliefs and perspective as their boss, like thinking that everyone desires romantic feelings and romantic relationships. And also to Kaz, almost everything about Kazuko reflects to romantic feelings, which is, I think, a little bit ridiculous. And aside from Sakuko, because, as who she is identified as an A0 means also aromantic and also asexual. She shares her experience like being a female who is friendly or simply wanting to be friends with others is often really misinterpreted, as sending the romantic signals. Sakuko shared this with Takahashi-san. She likes many A's that I have spoken with, that those people who are sharing their experience on also their sharing experience on the online Reddit also faced like blame and shame from other people, that particularly from the ALOs who actually experience romantic or sexual attractions, misunderstanding the people who are just being friendly. I recall this a lot. I relate this a lot. I recall one time that when I was just, being kind to the cashier at LCBO. And then this cashier, I was friendly to him. I was like, hi, how are you doing? And he just like, yeah, I'm just very casual. And he just smiled at me. And after paying and leaving the store, my friend, who was the time with me, and he said, oh my God, that cashier likes you. The way he looks at you, oh my God, you should just leave your phone number with him. And I was so confused, and I said, why? And my friend's response is like, because you were nice to him, and immediately everything different. And then he continues being like, I don't understand why you're still single and struggle, Cordelia. Like, dating seems so easy for you. You're so good at flirting. I was just being nice, and they used the word flirting. Kind of misogyny, isn't it? So, is this exactly the same that Sakuko and many people shared, that I was kind because I am a kind person, not because of him, because of cashier. I'm kind. So means that we're not allowed to be nice anymore? So Sakuko shares in the show that she said, the moment that I'm kind, I'm ashamed for being sending, signals that I want to have sex. She said due to her different interpretations of romantic feelings and compared to others, she struggled during so much when she was at school, universities, and she, she also attempted to date, but after rejecting, one time dating that she rejected someone's kiss, this guy went back to her because it hurts his ego, so he went back on the back of her and told everybody that Sakuko is a horrible person, even made her university life even more challenging. And then, because of her previous university experience, under the pressure from her parents, her sisters, she entered a relationship again at work with Kaz for a while. But, according to Takahashi-san, it was a horrible decision. It was a horrible mistake. Well, I agree. Well, but how can I say this? So I went to even more research on this kind of topic that according to a book that a psychologist named Victor Kandasho's book, he defines the romantic feelings as, quote, according to people around the world, typical including affection, idealization, wanting physical or emotional closeness, wanting inclusivity, wanting one's feeling to be one-on-one, overthinking the other person's behaviors, caring and being empathetic towards the other person, making life changes for them and becoming more obsessed if they don't give the feeling back. I think this is a very basic definition, and it aligns with the most people believe, also including Kaz and their boss and everybody who are ALOs. But Kaz, he's the person, because he's so agreed on with the definition. He even told Sakuko that dating, it just means we're laughing together. That's equal to dating. We're happy together because we have the feeling, right? But however, according to Leah Helpman, a career writer of the short fiction and creative nonfictions, she shared the feelings are not, all the feelings that mentioned above are not just to romantic relationships. So in the conversation that she had with Angela Chang, the book What Asexuality Reveals about desires, society, and the meaning of sex, Leah shares the conversation. She says, highlighting that all emotions and feelings that listed in the list, which supposedly not just different from romantic, but can also be found in other emotional settings. Sensitive, attachment, and caring are within any kind of healthy relationships. So, just as what Leah tells Angela in the book, she says, quote, I can be jealous. I can be experience heavily emotions towards to a friend. All this intense feeling that I have is not necessarily has to be romantic loves. Let's just think and say a little bit about this new ideas. All those emotional feelings, that sensitivities, attachment, and caring want to have more, is actually can be found in all kinds of healthy relationships, not just romantic relationships. I agree deeply. So in the TV show, that the third and fourth episode, Sakuko worked very hard and treated very seriously on Takahashi-san's survey that Takahashi-san shared with her. She paying a close attention to rate his responses, because Takahashi-san also shared his response with Sakuko. And I think this shows how she take this serious, because she and Takahashi-san, they're on a trial term to be whether they can be a family together. So therefore Takahashi-san shared this questionnaire with her, but also really wish that Sakuko can learn about herself more. to studying about herself, to studying about her own needs, not just what other people say about her. Because all the others are projections, are not really who she is. So, being Takahashi's position I think is really undeniable challenging, in my own opinion. He has been a very great life partner, that if we have to say, for Sakuko, and a remarkable mentor at the same time. So it is important to remember that, Takahashi-san in the Star Defense as a romantic. So, in the Kissaten, when in the Kissaten, that after hearing all Sakuko's story, that, giving her the safe space, also, appreciate Sakuko being so open to him, Takahashi-san kind of shares that what his perspective, and he says that most people in the world believe that the sexual desire is a prerequisite for romantic love. However, if that were true, but think about this, children who haven't gone through the puberty wouldn't have crushes, right? But as many people you can recall, when we're 7 or when we're 6 or 5 years old, we had our first crush, either our classmates or our teachers. So, just as Angela argues in her book that based on her research and an interview with the University of Utah's psychologist Lisa Diamond, the survey that they did to show that children, including those who are too young to understand what means by sex, very frequently develop deep attachments. But it's not the rooted being drive, the root of their drive is sex. It's just pure feelings. So now removing the romantic loves from sexual desire unfortunately is not widely being accepted by the world. Not only in the East Asia, but also in the Western world, that people struggle to accept that some individuals simply want to pass their genes. So they have to add love to make it more emotionally acceptable, right? There's actually two drives. There are two desires. One is sexual desire, and one is romantic desire. Those two desires in the past, before our time, when our ancestors still living in the jungle, they're two different things. Sexual desires only is the drive that people want to pass on their genes or their DNAs. But the thing is, however, the current ideologies that we don't accept that, because it's not okay for you to just pass on your genes. You have to add some very deep attachment to do so. So Angela Chang, in her book, that she argues that the sexual attraction and the romantic attraction don't need to be aligned on each other. So while the sexual attraction is a desire to pass on one's DNA with genes, the romantic attraction doesn't necessarily need to hinge on the sexual attractions. People who want to have sex doesn't need to have to be fall in love. People fall in love also doesn't need to have sex. These two attractions don't need to be aligned with each other. However, most people deny this. If you have sex, you must like this person. No. If you like this person, you must have sex. No. You can have sex without liking this person. You can love this person without having sex with them. Sex is sex. Love is love. They're different things. When people are denying this because they believe that sex without love is entirely immoral. Except from the show, that Sakuko only understood the sexual behaviors because people told her in the past that this is something everyone does. She as a zero herself, that which lead her to never question it until they experienced it and felt profoundly uncomfortable. And as Sakuko puts it, she says, there's no joy at all to have sex. And also just thinking about relationship and romantic feelings, and she said there's no joy at all. But there's always dramas and always misunderstandings and always misinterpretations. And she said she's very tired from all those things. So even though it is a challenge to share, but Sakuko is still becoming more open with Takahashi-san in the show, in the third and fourth episode, which is so great to see. And sometimes it's not that people are not willing to open up. It's that we are all waiting for the right person to open up for, right? Like in the right space, in the safe space, and at the right time to share our true selves. So once again, that just, watching the show, witness the relationship between Sakuko and Takahashi-san is so deeply comforting. Back in 2021, I longed for someone with who I could speak so openly. And now I have people around me who allowed me to just do that. So if I could travel back to the winter of 2021, I would love to let my past self to know this. And maybe to watch the show in a very, a little bit more different perspective. So Sakuko doesn't experience romantic feelings, or perhaps experience them in a very limited amount. Before moving in with Takahashi-san, that when Sakuko was, at the time that she wants to move away from her parents' house and moving with her high school friend Chiharu, who is, but there's some very unexpected twist occurred. So Chiharu showed up and, said that we were supposed to move together, however, on the day before, and she said, however, my ex-boyfriend wanted her back. Her ex want her back. And so she was being forced to break the rental lease with Sakuko. And Sakuko was like, are you sure we signed up the lease? And she immediately got offensive, of course, because she was a little bit ashamed about her decision. And she couldn't control her feeling for him because she is a human. She said because she is a human, so she couldn't control the romantic feeling towards him. Okay. And this is a thing that Takahashi-san also explained or expressed multiple times in the show, that himself as a romantic doesn't experience romantic feelings. Sakuko, who is A0, no feeling like, aromantic and also asexual, that they have been valued as non-human at all. Non-human. They're aware, and this is actually a huge argument out there, that even Angela shared in her book that in 1908, a Russian poet named Alexander Blok, and he wrote that only someone in love has the right to be called human. So this is not a lie. This is actually a common thing, that only someone in love has the right to be called human. And a century later, a pop star named Demi Lovato, and he echoed a very similar statement. He says, you are nobody until you got somebody. So in their perspective is, as long as there are no romantic partners in the picture, others tend to view the picture as incomplete. Chiharu said she cannot hold back her feeling towards her ex-boyfriend because she is a human. Sakuko could because Sakuko is not human. Takahashi-san could because Takahashi-san is also not a human, because they're aromantic, asexual, and A0. Wow. That's a lot, isn't it? So basically, they suggest that only someone in love, and the poem, implies that the love for romantic partners only has the right to be called human. In the eyes of many, Sakuko is even not considered as a full human simply because asexual people are not considered as human only because they lack romantic feelings to others. Wow. So another thing is having sex without romantic feelings is normally wrong, is not okay, is not going to be accepted. And Angela writes in her book that regardless, the desire for romantic relationships is often seen as necessary to provoke someone's morality, and aromantic individuals face the judgment with their humanity denied. Aromantic individuals recognize that their behaviors and their thinking and their sexualities actually harm humanity and harms everybody. But the thing is, aromantic understand that the love, unhealthy love, is going to be harm people in a romantic relationship, and all they're waiting for the world to catch up and wake up from that. As Angela again expresses in her book, that love and caring are different, can be manifest in many different ways and beyond the romantic relationships. However, the idea is often denied by most people worldwide, exactly like what Kaz in the show, he representing the world and to challenge Takahashi-san and also Sakuko and also their relationship in the show. So here's the thing that Takahashi-san and many, what he states in the TV show, in the story, he says that love is not necessarily just from the romantic relationships. Makes sense. But apart from Sakuko's younger sister and her family, someone like Kaz, this ex-boyfriend, based on Takahashi-san's assessment of Kaz, that he is someone who can understand sex without love but doesn't understand love without sex. And everything in his eyes is about romantic love. Kaz is quite typical in this regard. I think this is why we need a person like him in the story, that he can't accept Sakuko rejections, right? Not because he loves her, but due to his own ego. This is the root. It's not about Sakuko, it's all about him. When someone rejects somebody, it's not a person who actually said no, it's about this person who said no to their ego. Then still, they're narcissists, isn't it? Kaz's obsessions, follows, he just got so obsessed, he just can't understand why you reject me, so he follows Sakuko and Takahashi-san, and even later even made Takahashi-san got injured. But anyway, so because of Kaz, this love is all person that Takahashi-san got injured, and Kaz moved into their house to take care of Takahashi-san while Sakuko is at work. But and also because he wants to understand the relationship between two asexual people, that because he doesn't believe that a man and a woman share a room, that nothing in bond will going to happen. So, okay, this is thinking and repeating this, and this just made me feel so ridiculous. But by the way, the Kaz is he just being there and to ask all those annoying questions. So Kaz is there to please Kazuko and Takahashi-san, and in his eyes, even a simple discussion about the emergency contact persons, that conversation about breakfast, what to eat, and then how Takahashi-san is going to cook for Kazuko, all those things in his eyes, if they're even their matureness to willing to help each other, that in his eyes is a romantic gestures. Like, okay. So I'm sure this again, Kaz is not alone and holding this like perspectives and thoughts. So we need someone like Kaz and then to understand more and to understand Sakuko and also Takahashi-san better. So after having the guest from Takahashi-san's work and workplace, because he got injured, so all the coworkers came to visit him. And there's like coworkers are talking something like very sourly and bitterly about they did not know Sakuko is in a relationship with Takahashi-san, and Takahashi-san didn't even bother to explain. And then Kaz questioned Sakuko's feeling, and Sakuko said, yeah, I'm not jealous at all. I don't feel jealous, Sakuko said. They just came to visit. Why should I jealous? No jealousy here at all. And even they like Takahashi-san, then that's their free will to do so. It's none of my business. That's their life, their relationship. Why am I going to say anything about it? This is so relatable. I really love Sakuko, like in the show. Like, I have been always encountered trouble with people similar to those coworkers, and many A's actually share me the similar experience that they simply just never jealous, and then they really just want to have a good friendship with other people, good conversation. But it just turns out that the people around them just constantly cause drama. But during a one-on-one conversation between Kaz and Takahashi-san, Kaz discovers that for the first time that the concept of falling in love and romantic love were only introduced into Japan during the Meiji era. Before that, this concept never existed. Well, also, to think about when our ancestors living in the jungle, there's no romantic love. People stay together. That time, the human beings stay together because they don't want to be bite and eaten by the monsters or beasts. So they need to protections, and they do have sexual behaviors. It's because they want to pass on their genes. And there's love. I really highly question that. And also, for example, in Japan, that before the Meiji era, the marriage is always being arranged marriage, right? And that's the reason why I love you was initially translated as the moon is pretty tonight in the first translation. In Japan, in Japanese language, only suki if you directly translate into the English, it means I like you. It's not I love you. I stay in us. That is something so different, and more is a love that from the parents. Between the couples, in the families it's love, between the couples it's not love. It's just like. Therefore the first translation is I love you, translating to the moon is pretty tonight. But there's no idea. There's no such an idea called I love, romantic feelings. So the idea of love really changed within the different social structures and also the capitalism. We are not inherently weird to pursue only love and romantic love feelings. That's something we developed contemporarily. But it is not just to what I'm trying to say here, and also this show to trying to show here is not to suggest that humans don't desire love, okay? But it's not always romantic love only. Love takes its various form. The love from family, the love from friendship, and also self-love. All these forms and types and shapes of love are initially are all come to us. Like those are naturally, right? They're not necessarily those another three type of love from friends, from families, from self-love can be simply replaced. Three of them simply being replaced only by romantic love. What I'm trying to say here is, echoing back to what Takahashi-san also point in the story in the show, that if that someone doesn't love themselves or they have some childhood trauma with the family, they don't feel like they've been received the love enough from the family, and only expect other people's love to fulfill and to avoid the trauma, it may make things worse. Because the romantic love is only one type of the love, cannot replace the other three kind. The desire to be held and to be loved is essential, but however, it is not necessarily only delivered by romantic relationships. People who firmly believe in romantic love is very often think for the others to complete them. That's what they believe. But they forget that they can find the completion within themselves. There's no denying that everyone wants to be loved and held. But this love is not necessarily only from one type of relationship, that is the romantic relationships. There is a lot more, especially the self-love. If someone hates themselves or they don't love themselves enough and only expecting the romantic relationship, romantic love can fulfill their emptiness, it won't help. And Takahashi-san here, he said, those people better to call a therapist to help them to find out more what they can do for themselves, but not expecting others to help them. And here is another reason why that Takahashi-san gives Sakuko the survey and to learn about herself. And not being embarrassed to share about herself, make her feel comfort and make her feel safe, and therefore that she can love herself a little bit more, but not to live for other people and waiting for other people's approval. So at the end of the show, not at the end of the show, I think it's at the end of each episode, that the phrase of, oh, one day you will find the one. But what if there's no the one? What if there are so many? In this third episode, after helping Takahashi-san gather all the points cards, they like to get points cards and they sit in this Kissaten. Sakuko told, she shares that the people around her often told her that she's unlucky in romantic relationships. They told her that she doesn't know how to navigate in the relationship discussions and has no interest in other people. And then from her best friend to her coworkers and from her ex-boyfriend, and then they all told her the same thing, that one day you will find the one. If you have ever visited the asexualities group on Reddit and also on the Doubar group, that's a Chinese platform, you will discover that nearly every single person has heard exactly the same statement in their life. You just haven't found the one yet. Where people will be like, I'm lucky, I found the one, you just need to wait for your timing. Where they'll be like, oh, your luck hasn't led you to get the one yet. Honestly, people, it's time to stop. What if there's no one? What if there's no one? What if there isn't specifically one kind of person out there? What if there's so many there? Why have to be that one? From a sexuality perspective or asexuality, there isn't necessarily one specific person. Or let's say from a spiritual standpoint, one person can have a huge amount of the soulmates were soul families. It's not just one individual that you end up with for the rest of your life. It's a lot. It's actually a community. People have thought about that. So returning to the question that posted in the part 1 that I said, is romantic relationship necessary, or is have been very heavily questioned in the TV show? No. Romantic relationship is not necessary. It's not necessary. It is not requirement for anyone or everybody. But, however, love is. And love is not necessarily just only came from romantic relationships or romantic loves. As for now, this TV show isn't available in English, so I personally translated any dialogue reference in this episode, which is listed in the reference section. And this episode is written by me, Cordelia. Thank you again for tuning in, and we will continue our discussion of this TV show in the future episodes. So until next time, take care and stay tuned for our upcoming episodes.